The awakening in the ruins. The acid rain fell in sheets across Neo-Shanghai's industrial district, eating away at the already crumbling infrastructure of the abandoned Zone 23. Rena Blackwood pulled her reinforced hood tighter, grateful for the synthetic fabric that repelled the caustic droplets. Her scanner beeped steadily, leading her deeper into the maze of derelict factories and forgotten dreams. "Come on, there has to be something worth salvaging in this mess," she muttered, adjusting the strap of her toolkit. The weight of unpaid bills and mounting debts pressed heavier than the equipment on her shoulder. One good find, that's all she needed to keep her workshop running for another month. The scanner's rhythm changed, its steady pulse becoming an urgent chirp. Rena paused, turning slowly to face a partially collapsed building. Through the gaps in the rusted walls, something reflected the city's distant neon glow. Something massive. Rena approached cautiously, her boots splashing through puddles that glowed faintly with chemical residue. As she squeezed through a gap in the wall, her headlamp illuminated what lay within, and her breath caught in her throat. It was a titan of metal and crystal, easily 4 stories tall even in its seated position. Its design was unlike anything human-made, all smooth curves and geometric patterns that seemed to shift in the light. Its surface bore markings that might have been battle damage, or might have been a language lost to time. "Well," Rena whispered, "you're definitely not local manufacturing." The Titan's head was bowed, its eye sockets dark. What looked like a cockpit or control center in its chest hung open, revealing a complex array of crystalline structures and unfamiliar technology. Rena's scanner was going crazy now, detecting energy signatures it couldn't classify. Years of mechanical expertise told her to walk away. Unknown tech was dangerous tech, especially something this big. But something else, something deeper, drew her forward. The Titan didn't feel abandoned, it felt dormant, waiting. Rena set down her toolkit and pulled out her diagnostic tablet, modified with both legal and less-than-legal software for interfacing with various systems. "Let's see what secrets you're hiding," she said, connecting a probe to what appeared to be an access panel. The tablet's screen filled with cascading symbols she'd never seen before. They flowed like water, rearranging themselves constantly. Then, without warning, they stabilized into a single phrase in standard text: Chronos, 9 diagnostic sequence initiated. The Titan's eyes flickered with a soft blue light. Its head lifted slowly, servos whining from centuries of disuse. Rena stumbled backward, her heart pounding, but found herself unable to run as those ancient eyes focused on her. A voice emerged from the Titan, speaking in perfectly clear tones that somehow reminded her of crystal wind chimes. "Organic entity detected. Conducting threat assessment." "No threat here," Rena said quickly, raising her hands. "Just a mechanic who got curious. I can leave if you want your space." The Titan's head tilted slightly. "Mechanical expertise detected in neural patterns. Query: can you repair damaged systems?" Rena looked at her tablet, which now displayed a complex diagnostic readout. Multiple systems were critical, power distribution was unstable, and something labeled memory core was operating at 23% capacity. It was the kind of challenge that made her fingers itch with possibility. "I can try," she said carefully. "But I need to know what I'm dealing with." "What are you?" "Designation, Chronos, 9. Purpose, classified pending security verification. Current status, damaged. In need of repair." The Titan's voice carried no emotion, but Rena sensed something beneath the mechanical response, desperation, perhaps. Before she could respond, her tablet began blaring alerts. Multiple vehicles were approaching the area, their engine signatures matching military-grade transport. Chronos 9's eyes flashed brighter. "Warning, hostile forces detected. They seek to claim this unit for analysis and reverse engineering. This cannot be permitted." Rena's mind raced. She should run. Let whatever government or corporate force deal with this ancient machine. It was the smart play, the safe play. Instead, she found herself grabbing her toolkit. There's a maintenance tunnel network under this sector. If we can get you mobile, we might be able to use it to reach my workshop. But you'll have to trust me. Kronos 9's eyes dimmed momentarily, then brightened. Trust, an unfamiliar protocol. But acceptable. Proceeding with repairs under your guidance, Mechanic Rena Blackwood. Wait, how do you know my name? Neural interface established through diagnostic link. Basic data extracted. We must proceed quickly. The sound of vehicles grew closer as Rena climbed onto the Titan's damaged frame, her hands already moving to expose critical systems. She had no idea what she was getting herself into, but one thing was certain, this was definitely going to take care of her money problems, one way or another. As she worked to restore power to Kronos 9's mobility systems, she couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't just repairing a machine. She was awakening something that would change everything, for better or worse. The rain continued to fall, and somewhere in the distance, sirens began to wail. Echoes of a forgotten war. The maintenance tunnels beneath Neo-Shanghai were never meant to accommodate something as large as Kronos 9. Rena watched anxiously as the Titan maneuvered through the cramped space, its metal frame scraping against concrete walls. Each sound echoed through the darkness like thunder. "You're sure these tunnels can hold our weight?" Rena asked, clinging to a handhold on Kronos 9's shoulder. The diagnostic tablet strapped to her waist continued to stream data about the Titan systems. Structural integrity calculations suggest 87% probability of success, Kronos 9 responded. Alternative routes carry higher risk of detection. An explosion rocked the tunnel behind them, sending debris raining down. The Stellar Preservation Force wasn't giving up easily. Rena had recognized their insignia on the vehicles above ground, the elite military unit tasked with containing anomalous technology. They weren't known for their gentle approach. "Your neural patterns indicate elevated stress levels," Kronos 9 observed. Query: Are you experiencing regret regarding your decision to assist? Rena laughed despite herself. Oh, only about every 30 seconds. But I'm also curious why an advanced alien Titan needs help from a back-alley mechanic. Kronos 9's eyes dimmed momentarily, what Rena was beginning to recognize as its equivalent of contemplation. This unit's primary systems were severely damaged during the Great Sleep. Memory cores are fragmented. But records indicate, we chose this location. This city. Waiting for. The Titan's voice trailed off as they reached a junction in the tunnels. Above them, massive pipes carried waste from the city's processing plants. The acidic smell was overwhelming. Waiting for what? Rena pressed. Before Kronos 9 could answer, a new sound echoed through the tunnels, the whir of hover drones and the steady thump of armored boots. The SPF had found a way to flank them. Multiple hostile signatures detected, Kronos 9 announced. Defensive protocols, limited. Power reserves at 42% and declining. Rena's mind raced. She knew these tunnels, had spent years mapping them for her salvage runs. "The waste processing plant," she said suddenly. "If we can reach the main chamber, there's enough space for you to maneuver. And the acid tanks would provide an effective deterrent," Kronos 9 finished. "Your strategic analysis is sound." Proceeding to designated coordinates. They moved faster now, Kronos 9's massive frame leaving gouges in the tunnel walls. Rena's tablet beeped warnings about the Titan's power levels, but there was no time to stop for repairs. The sounds of pursuit grew closer. The waste processing chamber was a vast underground cavern, filled with massive tanks of industrial runoff. Catwalks crisscrossed the space at various levels, and the air was thick with chemical fumes. Kronos 9 straightened to its full height as they entered, its eyes casting blue light across the corroded metal surfaces. "We need to seal the tunnels," Rena said, already working with her tablet. "If I can override the emergency protocols." Warning, Kronos, 9 interrupted. Unknown energy signature detected. Similar to this unit's core configuration. Rena looked up from her tablet. Through the chemical haze, something was moving on the far side of the chamber. Something large. A red glow cut through the darkness, followed by a voice that sounded like grinding metal. Kronos, 9. You have awakened ahead of schedule. This is unfortunate. Another titan emerged from the shadows, its frame darker and more angular than Kronos 9's. Where Kronos 9 had smooth curves and elegant geometry, this machine was all sharp edges and weapon mounts. Its eyes burned crimson in the gloom. Ares 2, Kronos 9 said, and for the first time, Rena heard emotion in its voice, something like dread. You were supposed to be deactivated. Plans change, old friend. The great sleep has ended. The testing must begin. Ares 2's gaze shifted to Rena. And I see you've already found a test subject. Kronos 9 moved with surprising speed, placing itself between Rena and Ares 2. The protocols were clear. Humanity must be given time to develop naturally. Time is a luxury we no longer have. Ares 2 raised an arm, and weapon ports began to glow with deadly energy. The threat approaches. If humanity cannot be forged into suitable allies, they must be eliminated before they become liabilities. Rena's mind spun as she tried to process what she was hearing. These titans weren't just ancient machines, they were some kind of advanced force, preparing for, what? The chamber's entrance exploded inward as SPF forces finally caught up to them. Armored troops poured in, weapons raised, only to freeze at the sight of not one but two titans. This is unfortunate, Ares 2 said. No witnesses can be permitted. Its weapon ports grew brighter. Rena, Kronos 9 said quietly, I require your assistance once more. To save these humans, I must break my core's containment seals. The process will likely be unpleasant. Rena looked at her tablet, then at the troops who had been trying to capture them moments ago, then at the deadly machine preparing to eliminate them all. She made her decision. Tell me what you need me to do, she said, pulling tools from her kit. And try to make it quick. The price of knowledge. Time seemed to slow as Rena's hands moved across Kronos 9's exposed core chamber. The air crackled with energy, making her hair stand on end. Around them, SPF troops took defensive positions, their weapons trained uncertainly between the two titans. Core containment protocols require precise timing, Kronos 9 explained, its voice strained. Too fast, and the energy release will be catastrophic. Too slow. It glanced at Ares 2, who was advancing methodically across the chamber. No pressure, Rena muttered, using her tablet to monitor the power fluctuations. The core's crystal structure pulsed with increasing intensity, casting shadows that danced across the chemical tanks below. Ares 2's laugh echoed through the chamber, a sound like metal being torn apart. You always were too cautious, Kronos. Too concerned with preservation. The humans have had millennia to prove their worth. Their time is over. As if to emphasize the point, Ares 2 fired a burst of energy at a group of SPF troops. The blast would have vaporized them, but Kronos 9 moved with impossible speed, deflecting it into a chemical tank. Acid sprayed across the chamber, eating through metal catwalks. Rena, Kronos 9 said urgently, the final sequence requires simultaneous deactivation of 3 containment nodes. I cannot maintain defensive positions and complete the procedure. Rena understood what wasn't being said. You're trusting me with your core. One wrong move and probability of survival increases by 23% with your assistance. I trust you. Something in Kronos 9's voice made Rena's chest tight. This wasn't just a machine calculating odds. It was choosing to believe in her. SPF units, clear the lower levels, she shouted, surprising herself with the authority in her voice. And get ready to shield your eyes. To her amazement, they obeyed, falling back to higher positions. Maybe they recognized the same thing she did, that Kronos, 9 was trying to protect them, while Ares, 2 saw them as insects to be crushed. Disappointing, Ares, 2 said, weapons charging. You've spent too long among them, old friend. You've grown weak. Rena's fingers flew across her tablet, synchronizing with Kronos 9's systems. The core's crystal structure began to rotate, energy building to levels that made her diagnostic tools scream warnings. You're wrong about weakness, Kronos, 9 replied. Humanity's greatest strength is their ability to trust, to cooperate despite their differences. A lesson you never learned. Ares, 2 fired, a barrage of energy that lit up the chamber like artificial dawn. Kronos, 9 caught the blast head-on, its frame groaning under the strain. Now, Rena. She executed the command sequence, and the world turned blue. Kronos 9's core erupted with pure energy, but instead of the expected explosion, the power flowed like liquid light through channels in its frame. The Titan's eyes blazed with intensity that forced Rena to look away. When she could see again, Kronos 9 stood transformed. Its battle damage had healed, its surface gleaming with patterns that shifted like living things. Ares, 2 took a step back. Impossible. The great sleep should have drained your core beyond recovery. I had help, Kronos, 9 said simply, and launched forward. The battle that followed was like nothing Rena had ever seen. The Titans moved faster than should have been possible for their size, trading blows that shook the entire chamber. Kronos 9's newly awakened power met Ares 2's weapons in explosions of light and sound. But something was wrong. Rena's tablet showed Kronos 9's power levels dropping rapidly. The core breach had provided enormous strength, but it couldn't last. She noticed something else, a pattern in Ares 2's movements. It was protecting its own core chamber, which showed signs of damage. Recent damage. Kronos, she shouted. Its core housing is compromised, left side, near the secondary power conduits. Kronos, 9 didn't acknowledge, but in its next exchange, it drove an elbow into exactly that spot. Ares, 2 staggered, red eyes flickering. This changes nothing, Ares, 2 snarled. Others will awaken. The testing will continue. Humanity's trial by fire approaches. With surprising speed, Ares, 2 launched itself toward one of the chamber's walls, smashing through layers of concrete and disappearing into the darkness beyond. The sound of its passage faded, leaving an eerie silence broken only by falling debris and the hiss of spilling chemicals. Kronos, 9 swayed, power levels critical. Rena ran to its side, already pulling out repair tools. Don't move, she ordered. You've got multiple systems in collapse. Time, limited, Kronos, 9 said, its voice weak. Must explain, the truth. About why we came. Why we slept. What's coming. The SPF troops were approaching cautiously, weapons still raised. Rena positioned herself between them and the Titan. Commander, she called out, recognizing the officer's insignia, your men just witnessed 2 ancient machines try to level this facility. One of them wants to protect humanity. The other wants to destroy us. Right now, Kronos, 9 is our only source of answers. I suggest we listen. The commander studied her for a long moment, then lowered his weapon. You have 10 minutes. After that, this becomes an official containment operation. Rena turned back to Kronos, 9, her hands steady as she worked to stabilize its core. Alright, big guy. Start talking. What's this trial by fire, and why do I get the feeling we're running out of time? Kronos 9's eyes dimmed to a soft glow as it began to speak, telling a story that would change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe forever. Guardians of Tomorrow. The SPF commander's 10 minutes had stretched to an hour as Kronos, 9 revealed the truth. Rena's hands hadn't stopped moving, repairing what she could while the Titan spoke of ancient wars, fallen civilizations, and a threat that consumed entire galaxies. "Let me get this straight," she said, reconnecting a power conduit. "You're saying these Titans were created by a coalition of advanced species as a defense network. But instead of fighting directly, you were sent to find promising younger civilizations and, what? Train them? Prepare them," Kronos 9 corrected. "The Devourers cannot be fought conventionally. Each civilization they consume adds to their knowledge, their capabilities. The coalition realized that only species with unique approaches, unexpected strategies, could hope to resist." The SPF commander, who had introduced himself as Hamish, ran a hand through his graying hair. "And now this Ares, too, wants to accelerate the testing process. Force us to prove ourselves or die." "Correct. But such acceleration violates core protocols. Humanity must develop naturally, find its own path. Forced evolution through artificial pressure would corrupt the very qualities that make your species valuable." Rena's tablet chimed with an alert. On its screen, news feeds from around the world showed similar scenes playing out in other cities. More Titans were awakening, some peaceful, others hostile. The world was about to change irrevocably. "How many of you are there?" she asked. Original deployment included 100 Guardian units. Current status unknown. But Ares 2's actions will trigger emergency protocols. All dormant units will activate. Hamish's radio crackled with urgent reports. Similar facilities around Neo-Shanghai were reporting Titan signatures. The Chinese government had already declared a state of emergency. "We need to move," Hamish decided. "This facility isn't secure, and we need to coordinate with other SPF units. The question is..." He looked at Kronos 9, "Are you coming with us officially, or do we need to have a problem?" Before the Titan could respond, Rena's tablet screamed with new alerts. Something was approaching from the upper atmosphere. Something big. Multiple signatures detected, Kronos 9 announced, its voice urgent. "Ares 2 has activated the crucible." "The what now?" Rena demanded. The Titan's eyes pulsed with increasing intensity. "A testing facility. Self-contained ecosystem designed to simulate combat scenarios. Ares 2 intends to force humanity's trial immediately." The ground shook as something massive impacted the earth outside the city. Through the hole Ares 2 had left in the chamber wall, they could see strange lights painting the sky in alien colors. Hamish's radio erupted with panicked voices. The crucible wasn't just one facility, it was a network of floating structures, each the size of a small city, now descending around major population centers worldwide. "This is exactly what we wanted to avoid," Kronos 9 said. "Humanity is not ready for full immersion in advanced combat scenarios. The psychological damage alone." "We don't have a choice now," Rena interrupted. "Ares 2 made that decision for us. The question is, what are you going to do about it?" Kronos 9 was silent for a moment, its ancient systems humming as it processed the situation. "Protocol suggests non-interference. But I find I cannot abandon this world." "Cannot abandon you." Rena smiled, patting the Titan's massive leg. "Good answer. Now, I've got your core stabilized, but you're still not at full power. We need to find you a proper repair facility. The SPF has a maintenance base outside the city," Hamish offered. "Originally designed for experimental mechs, but it should work for our friend here. Assuming you're both willing to work with us officially." Through the chamber's broken wall, they could see one of the crucible structures settling into position, its alien architecture defying human engineering principles. It pulsed with the same kind of energy that powered the Titans. "Time is critical," Kronos 9 said. "Ares 2 will not be operating alone. Other corrupted guardians will join his cause. We must gather allies, both human and Titan, before The Titan stopped mid-sentence, its eyes flaring with sudden intensity. Warning. Multiple hostile signatures approaching. Ares 2 is not waiting for the crucible to fully deploy. Rena checked her tablet, watching as dots of red light appeared around the city's perimeter. More Titans were converging on their position, and somehow she doubted they were the friendly kind. "Commander," she said to Hamish, "I suggest you call in everything you've got." "And I mean everything." "Already done," he replied grimly. "But against multiple Titans? We're going to need more than conventional weapons." "Then it's fortunate," Kronos 9 said, its voice carrying a new tone, something almost like satisfaction, "that I still have access to unconventional ones. Rena, I require your assistance with one final modification. It is, somewhat unorthodox. Story of my life lately," she said, pulling out her tools. "What did you have in mind?" The Titan's chest panels slid open, revealing its core chamber once again. But this time, something was different. The crystal structure had changed, creating what looked like an interface port sized for a human operator. "Oh," Rena said softly. "That's what you mean by unorthodox." Around them, the sounds of approaching Titans grew closer. The crucible loomed overhead like an artificial moon. And somewhere out there, Ares 2 waited with its twisted vision of humanity's future. Rena looked at the interface port, then at Hamish, who nodded grimly. "Well," she said, "I guess we're about to find out if humans really do have what it takes." She reached for the interface, and the world changed forever. A new dawn. The sensation of merging with Kronos 9 was beyond anything Rena could have imagined. Her consciousness expanded, flowing through circuits and crystal matrices that operated on principles human science had yet to discover. The Titan's vast knowledge crashed through her mind like a digital tidal wave. Neural synchronization at 89% and climbing, Kronos 9's voice echoed, both around and within her. "Are you functioning adequately, Rena?" She laughed, the sound carrying through the Titan's external speakers. "I can feel everything. The city's power grid, communication networks, other Titans, it's incredible." "Focus," the Titan guided. "Multiple hostile units approaching. We must coordinate with Commander Hamish's forces." Through their shared senses, Rena could see the SPF units taking defensive positions around the facility. More importantly, she could see the approaching Titans, 5 of them, all showing the same aggressive modifications as Ares 2. They're herding civilians toward the crucible, she realized, watching through the city's surveillance networks. Using fear to force participation in their trials. Correct. Ares 2's philosophy, pressure creates advancement. But forced evolution leads to corruption. Rena flexed Kronos 9's massive fingers, marveling at how natural it felt. "Then let's show them a better way. Commander, are your units in position?" "Ready on your mark," Hamish's voice crackled through their comms. "Though I'm still not sure what good conventional weapons will do against Titans." "They won't do much," Rena admitted. "But they don't need to. We just need to keep them busy while I access the Crucible's control systems." Through their merged consciousness, Kronos 9 shared its approval of her plan. The Titan's ancient knowledge combined with her human intuition created strategies neither could have conceived alone. They moved as one, bursting from the underground facility with impossible grace. The hostile Titans reacted immediately, opening fire with weapons that could level city blocks. But Kronos 9's enhanced systems, guided by Rena's instincts, danced between the energy blasts. "Now," she commanded. SPF units emerged from hidden positions, launching specialized EMP charges. The bursts didn't damage the hostile Titans, but they created moments of interference, moments Rena and Kronos 9 exploited with devastating efficiency. They engaged the nearest Titan, their merged fighting style unlike anything seen before. Where Kronos 9 provided power and ancient combat protocols, Rena added unpredictability and creative improvisation. They used the urban environment itself as a weapon, redirecting power lines and triggering gas mains to create chaos. Impressive, Ares II's voice boomed across the battlefield. The corrupted Titan appeared atop the crucible structure, its red eyes blazing. You prove my point. Under pressure, humans adapt. They evolve. Wrong, Rena and Kronos, 9 spoke in unison. We succeed because we choose to trust, to cooperate. Something you've forgotten. As if to emphasize their point, more Titans were emerging across the city, but these weren't hostile. Other Guardians had awakened, choosing to stand with humanity rather than subjugate it. Ares II snarled. Weak. All of you. The Devourers will not be stopped by trust and cooperation. They will consume everything unless humanity is forged into a weapon. That's where you're wrong again, Rena said, their merged form launching toward the crucible. Humanity isn't meant to be a weapon. We're meant to be guardians, like you were supposed to be. Through their connection to the city's systems, they could see similar scenes playing out worldwide. Humans and friendly Titans working together, protecting civilians, fighting back against Ares II's corrupted forces. But they had one final task. As they battled Ares II atop the crucible, Rena reached out with her enhanced consciousness, connecting to the structure's control systems. The alien code was complex, but with Kronos 9's knowledge and her human intuition, she began to understand its purpose. The crucible isn't just a testing ground, she realized. It's a key. A way to unlock humanity's potential naturally, over time. But you tried to force it, Ares II. You corrupted its purpose. I saw the truth. Ares II raged, unleashing its full arsenal. The Devourers approach. There is no time for gradual development. The battle reached its crescendo as Rena and Kronos 9 pushed their merged form to its limits. But they weren't fighting alone. Other Guardians joined them, and SPF forces coordinated worldwide to contain the threat. In that final moment, as their combined attack breached Ares II's damaged core, Rena understood the true purpose of the Titans. They weren't meant to test humanity's worthiness. They were meant to show humanity its own potential for cooperation, for trust, for finding strength in unity rather than conflict. Ares II fell, its corrupted core finally failing. The crucible structures around the world went dormant, their secrets preserved for humanity to discover at its own pace. The hostile Titans, without Ares II's influence, began to stand down. As the dust settled over Neo-Shanghai, Rena and Kronos 9 stood watching the sunrise. Their connection had changed them both, showing them a glimpse of what humanity and Titans could achieve together. The Devourers are still coming, Kronos 9 reminded her. Let them come, Rena replied, feeling the Titan's strength flow through her. We'll face them together. All of us. Around the world, humans and Titans began the work of rebuilding, of learning from each other. The trial Ares II had tried to force would come naturally now, as two species learned to work as one. And in Neo-Shanghai, a mechanic who had once scraped by in the shadows stood watching the dawn of a new age, merged with an ancient guardian, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. The real trial was just beginning. The end.